Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Semper Astra. My name is Maggie, and in today's video I will talk about the process of applying for a guide dog. At the beginning of my video I want to emphasize that I am not a guide dog trainer and I am just a blind person who wants to share with you her personal experiences. I tried applying for a guide dog for the first time in 2001, so it was well over 20 years ago. At this point, I still lived in Poland and I was in the process of completing the second year of my university studies. I contacted then American school called Leader Dogs, and after I expressed my interest in applying for a guide dog, I received from them a very long and detailed application, and to my best memory it consisted of following sections. So first of all, they were asking about my mobility skills, and they were asking whether I completed mobility training, how long it lasted, when did I complete it. They were hoping that some of the questions will be answered by my mobility instructor. They were asking about what sort of cane do I use, what sort of tip do I use for my cane. Then they were asking about what sort of place do I live. Is it a big town, small town, village? They were asking about what sort of routes are my most frequent routes. They were also asking about my subjective opinion about, in what sort of circumstances I feel most confident. Like, do I prefer to walk in a busy area or more quiet area? And they were asking about my strengths and about my weaknesses, like what is in my opinion my strength, what is in my opinion my weakness. And they were also asking how frequently do I travel independently, to what sort of places do I travel independently. And then the next very extensive section was about my health, and in this section they were asking whether I have any useful vision, what is my vision, in what circumstances I can use my vision, and if I have no vision, did I ever have vision before, when did I lose my vision, do I have any problems with my eyes, any illnesses. Then they were asking about my hearing, do I have any hearing loss, and if yes, how severe is my hearing loss. And then they were asking about my mobility, do I have any problems with my legs, with my mobility. They were asking about problems with my dexterity in my hands, in my arms, can I use my arms. They were also asking about any long-term health conditions, about my liver, about my heart, about my lungs, about my kidneys, about any long-term illnesses. Then they were asking, I believe, about allergies, about any neurological conditions like epilepsy or losing consciousness or any memory problems. They were also asking about problems with mental health, and they were asking about problems with addictions or substance misuse. And I think that was this, and this section had to be completed by the doctor who knew me best at this point. And then they were asking about my life circumstances, so they wanted to know, where do I live, is it a house, is it a flat, is it a student accommodation, with whom do I live around any children, any elder adults, any pets. And they also were asking me about some questions about my lifestyle. Will I be primary care for the dog, and whether I'm able to look after the dog. Basically, this is what they meant by this. And it was pretty hard for me to complete this application because I wasn't in direct contact with them, so I didn't know, I was worried whether I provided them with enough details, whether I understood all of the questions correctly. And so I found it quite stressful. They also asked me to record a video and to send them a CD disc showing my mobility skills with the cane. So they wanted to see me walking on the pavement along the road. Then they wanted me to see me walking in the open area like a car park or a square, and they wanted to see me coping in the place where I don't have too many landmarks, so it is not easy for me to evaluate where exactly I am. They also wanted to see me crossing a quiet road, and they also wanted to see me crossing a busy intersection where at least two roads meet with one another and where I have to evaluate busy traffic. And they also wanted to see me walking indoor without the cane. And after I sent it all back, unfortunately, they sent me a letter saying that they are very sorry, but the circumstances has changed and they are unable to welcome any more international students because they don't feel that they would be able to support them well enough abroad when they go back to their own countries. Then, because I was busy with my university life, with my studies, for 2 years I didn't apply to any more schools. But in 2004, I lived for a while in New York State, and because of my medical situation, I wasn't able to continue my university studies for a couple of months. But I really wanted to use this time effectively, so I decided to apply to two guide dog schools which were located in New York State, where I lived at the time, right? So one of the schools told me that because I don't have a green card and I don't have citizenship, they are unable to help me because they wouldn't be able to support me when I go back to my country, which was Poland then. And another school called Guiding Eyes for the Blind said that for them it is not a problem. They will be able to support me when I go back to Poland, and they are happy to have my application. So they sent me the application. It was similar application to what I described in, you know, just a minute ago. The structure was very similar, but it was easier for me to complete this application because I was in direct contact with the school. So they were able to give me feedback about whether I provided them with enough information. They also told me some interesting things. So for many years, I believed that if, for instance, I have any additional disabilities or health problems, that may automatically exclude me from guide dog training. But what Guiding Eyes for the Blind explained to me is that yes, sometimes it is a possibility that somebody is unable to have a guide dog because of their health situation or because of their other life circumstances, but this decision is never made automatically. The reason why they want to have so much details about health and life circumstances is because they want to do their best to find the best dog for the individual, and they want to do the best to adjust the training to the needs of an individual. So for instance, I will give you like practical example. So imagine that person, I don't know, person X has problems with hearing loss as well, right? So this doesn't automatically exclude our person X from the training. It may mean that this person will have individual training and that their dog will know sign language and the dog will not respond to verbal language, right? And that the dog will know additional skills that are necessary for the person who is blind deaf, right? Or for instance, they told me about one person who didn't have a left hand, and normally you hold the guide dog in the left hand. So they just said, okay, so we had to train this guide dog to be able to walk on the person's right hand side, right? Anyway, so that was very interesting. They also explained to me that they ask about life circumstances. So for instance, do you live with the children? Do you live with any elder adults? Do you live with any pets? Because they want to find the dog who already lived with children, who already lived with pets, and they want to ensure that the dog is friendly towards our pets and the dog is relaxed around children, right? So again, they just want to find the best dog for individual. And again, some life circumstances may not be suitable at the moment for the person to have a guide dog at this moment in time, but the school will support the person to make all of the necessary adjustments. So maybe few months later they are in a good position to have a guide dog. And there is one more thing that I need to say. So apart from this basic application, which was anyway extensive, They also wanted me to provide them with three character references from three people who are not related to me, and these people needed to explain when did they meet me, how well they know me, what do they know about me, like what is our relationship, our professional relationship. And so that was one additional thing that the previous school didn't ask about. And after I went successfully through this part of the process, the lady who was a trainer and who trains both dogs and people came to me. I lived then at Queens, in Queens in New York, and they came to the house where I lived at this point, and the lady had additional discussion with me. For instance, she asked me, "Oh, have you ever had any dog in your life, like a pet dog?" And she just asked this question because she was curious whether I understand how massive responsibility it is to have a dog. And I didn't have a dog in the past, but through the discussion, the lady evaluated that I am aware of the responsibilities that come with looking after the dog, and that I will be able to be a primary carer for a guide dog, which is kind of important. And the lady also asked some additional questions based on my application. And then the second part of the assessment was practical tasks. So the first practical task was me walking with the cane, and I had to walk across around like few blocks. I had to cross few intersections. I walked also along the pavement. I also went to like open area again, just to evaluate how do I cope if I don't have too many landmarks. And then during the second part of this practical assessment, the lady evaluated my skills of working with the guide dog. So what she did was she gave to my hands a dog harness, the harness that we use to work with the guide dog. She explained to me all about this because this was the first time I ever seen a harness. Then she told me to hold the handle as if I was guided by a guide dog, and she was holding in her hands the part that you normally put over a dog, right? And she was guiding me in the same way the guide dog would guide me. And first of all, she was testing my pace. So she was walking at a very slow pace, and then she was walking quicker, and faster, and faster, and asking me which pace is most comfortable for me and what pace I would like to walk at with my guide dog. And then we did a route where there was many turns, and the lady was evaluating my ability to follow the harness. So she was assessing how quickly I pick up the messages that the guide dog would give me through the harness about the change of direction, and how well I can read the messages that I'm getting through the harness, basically. I hope that it makes sense. So basically she was turning left and she was seeing, or am I able to feel that now the dog is pulling me to the left, or when the dog is pulling me slightly to the right, because they may be walking around the obstacle, right? And then the lady asked me to repeat some commands that we give to the guide dog. She was also showing me hand gestures. She also wanted me to show how much strength do I have in my hands. She was pulling the lead, and then she asked me to pull the lead myself. She wanted to check my strength, and then they were also checking the tone of my voice. And then after I went through all of these phases positively, I was placed on a waiting list, and I was matched with my first guide dog. And after a couple of months, I returned to Poland. But Guiding Guides for the Blind continued to provide me with their support. They were visiting me in Poland, and they were evaluating whether I'm still safe with my dog, whether we both work well, whether Ingmar was in good health to continue working with me. And they supported me till year 2009, when I moved to the UK. And after I moved to the UK, they just gave me one more final visit, and then they handed over to British Guide Dog School, and British Guide Dog School continued to evaluate our ability to work together, our safety together, and Ingmar's health as well. And after Ingmar retired in 2011, I was reevaluated to work, to be placed on a waiting list again to receive my second guide dog. And although they already knew that I can work with the guide dog and that I was able to work with the guide dog before, it was important to update information about my health, information about my current lifestyle, about the routes that I need at this point of life, and about the sort of area where I live at this point of time, about my work, about my lifestyle. And I waited for a year for my guide dog, and unfortunately my guide dog Phoebe developed hematoma on her leg. She had to have extensive surgery, and it was decided that for her well-being she needs to retire early. So again I was placed on a waiting list, and again my needs were reevaluated. And this time when they were matching me with a new dog, they also took to the account that I just lost my dog, and they were asking me if they give me very similar dog, if that will be upsetting to me. And so they were very sensitive to everything I need when doing this reevaluation. And after I was matched successfully, after I was assessed, I was placed again on a waiting list, and then I was successfully matched with Bob. And throughout Bob's life, we had annual evaluations, and during these evaluations, again, the school was evaluating our safety, our quality of work, and Bob's health. And Bob was retired in 2021 because he developed arthritis. And after this situation, I was evaluated again. And at this point, guide dogs changed the training technique. So they wanted to see whether I'm able to follow this new technique, whether I'm willing to learn this new technique from the scratch. They again reevaluated my speed, my life circumstances, because they changed again. And this time I was waiting for my guide dog Wilma for 3 years. And throughout this 3-year period, my assessment was updated regularly. The routes that I take were assessed. I was asked what routes do I take daily, how long they are, how busy they are, where I go as well. So all of these questions were recently updated. And the interesting thing is that the last evaluation was actually on a day when I was matched with Wilma. So this is like a continuous evaluation, and assessment is a continuous process. And the matching process, about which I will talk in a separate video, is based on the information gathered during the assessment. And at this point, I want to mention one thing. So I don't want to be negative, but I just need to mention that when I was applying for my first guide dog, I wanted to gather as much information as I possibly could about the process of applying, the process of training, about the life with the guide dog. And some people were sharing with me information that was slightly discouraging, and they didn't wish me anything bad. They just had maybe personal experiences which were negative. And I just want to share this with you, because I strongly believe that if you think that the guide dog may be for you a good option, please, of course, it is worth to ask a question. It is worth to learn from others. But don't be discouraged, and let professionals to make this decision whether the guide dog is a good option for you or not. Right? So, it is very important that if you believe it is a good option for you, that you definitely try. And if for any reason it wasn't, that will be a decision made by professionals, and that you will not be discouraged by somebody who is not qualified to kind of advise you on this. And if you think that the guide dog will be a good option for you, please try applying, give it a go. because unless you try, you will never know. And I hope that it will work for you and that you will be happily matched and working with a guide dog. Thank you very much, and see you in my next video, during which I will talk about the matching process. Bye bye. The matching process of matching a guide dog with the person. Bye bye.